This is Andre from Teamwayfinder, and today we're interviewing Felecia Angelle, the voice of Mero from Sankareya, Mana from Data Life, and from the popular Funimation comedy The Devil is a Part-Timer.
Emmy Yusa.
So Felecia, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Alright, let's get started. So how did you get into voice acting?
Well, it's something that I had been interested in for a long time. I started acting sort of informally when I was about 10, and I got cast in a class play, and I just fell in love with it. So I started doing like drama day at school, and when I got into high school, I was in speech and debate, drama club, competitive acting. And when I was about 14, I started to get into anime. And I really was connecting with the stories, and it led me to sort of looking up the actors, and I realized like these people make a living doing these voices, and I want to act, and I like these stories, and it sort of set me on the path.
Alright, do you have any, besides, anime or cartoons or live action, like, what is the more comfortable, form of media you have to voice act in?
I've been able to do some commercial work, which is a lot of fun, for Disney Jack's Pacific, mostly doing kids' toy commercials. So I did one for like Singing and Storytelling Bell and Tink's Pixie Cottage and things like that.
Awesome. Alright, do you have any, funny stories behind the booth?
Oh, I'm sure. It's always hard to remember these because people are just hilarious at Funimation. The directors and the sound engineers are so funny. Um, it's always hard to think of one right off the bat. I guess sort of just in general, I love working with Jerry Jewell because he sings a lot. He'll like make up songs in the booth, and one of them is called Reaction Town. Just when we get those big long stretches of just reactions, he sings a little song called Reaction Town for us, and it's delightful. I'm trying to get him to release an album of anime inspired songs like Reaction Town.
Do you have a particular favorite character or a favorite show that you've, voice acted in so far?
I have both, and they are not the same. My favorite character that I've done so far is Hana Oshiroi from Bento. Um, she is just a little fangirl, and I love her. She spoke to me as soon as I saw her in the audition sides. I was so glad to have booked her, and it's probably the character that is most like me, so I liked her a lot. And my favorite show is The Devil is a Part-Timer because it is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
Just,
for
oh,
sure.
the writing was amazing, and the whole cast is just phenomenal. And I had to stop recording a few times because Tia Ballard is so adorable sounding that when I'd get to hear Chiho, I couldn't do my lines right after. I'd just stop and go like, "Oh."
uh, and speaking of Devil is a Part-Timer, since it's kind of an unusual kind of anime where you have to play like these big fictional characters and all of a sudden have been thrown into the modern world. How was the experience playing a character like Emmy, since she's one of those same characters like the main character who's trying to grow accustomed to a whole new world and setting that they've never seen before?
Oh, it was just fantastic. All of the characters are so compelling, and in comedy that doesn't always happen. A lot of time the comedy is slapstick or face value, and so much of the comedy comes from that a lot of the story has happened already, and these are established characters in their own worlds. I mean, these are serious people who are suddenly reduced to working fast food and, working in a call center. So the juxtaposition of that was just so funny. Uh, and Emmy in particular, I loved that she sort of found it easy to work in the world where Mao didn't at first, but she has a hard time being a normal person. Like she's stuck in hero mode for so much of it that she becomes a little bit of a stalker. And it was just so fun to see that, I mean, she could go to work and have a job and make a friend, but she couldn't stop, stalking and soliloquizing in the middle of the street.
Do you find it like when you're say for example when you're acting a serious character for a serious kind of show compared to something like a comedic show, what do you find more challenging, playing a more serious kind of role, or trying to portray more comedic kind of characters when it comes to voice acting?
For me, comedy is harder. I feel like with a more serious character, it's easier to tap into sort of an emotional side, and it's something that everyone can relate to in some way or another, you know? And with comedy, it's the timing has to be spot on. The delivery has to be spot on. You have to understand the joke. And like, it really takes a lot to just nail it. So comedy is a little more difficult for me.
What are some tips you can give for up and coming aspiring voice actors?
That's always an interesting one. Probably my biggest thing, and I've stolen it from like four or five different people, is be an actor. Don't focus specifically on getting into anime voice acting. Work, start your ground floor as studying the craft of acting. And then from there, you can build specialties, but you need those solid building blocks of sort of what is acting and how do I become a good actor. And from there, I mean, you can go theater or movies or commercials or voice acting, and you can pick your specialties, but you have to have that baseline to get anywhere.
Would you recommend, would you say that anime is a good start for someone who's really like just really coming into the industry, coming into the business and trying to become a professional voice actors and become the most versatile kind of actor they can be? Would you recommend anime a good start for someone who's just starting out on voice acting, or
I actually wouldn't. Anime is a little difficult to get into,
oh yeah.
honestly. So I think that I mean, for me at least, it was sort of the end goal. It was the end game for me. I moved to Dallas knowing that I wanted to work for Funimation ultimately, but I spent a lot of time building my skill set with commercials and indie games and, small animation projects so that when I had the opportunity to go in for Funimation, I was at my A game. It was the best I had to offer.
Do you have any actors that, when you were trying to become a professional actress yourself, that you've either studied or watched to try to, view their mannerisms and try to help improve your own acting and develop your own acting style?
Absolutely. I think I took a lot of inspiration from several different people, especially where voice acting was concerned. But I don't know that I've ever really tried to imitate anyone as much as just say, like, hear what works when they do it and, try to learn from that. But I mean, actresses like Laura Bailey and Tara Strong and Cree Summer and Tress McNeil have been huge influences to me. And even, male actors, I have just so much respect for like Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche and Scott McNeil. Um, and they all very much influenced me on this career path and showed me what good acting is.
Yes, I agree with you too. It's good to be influenced by the best, but you don't want to ultimately become an imitator. You still want to find your own voice in your own way, and I agree with that as well. That's some good advice. So, do you have any final thoughts for our viewers? For before we head off, we set out.
I guess just thanks for watching everything and for being interested in what I have to say. I appreciate y'all. Um, and also, if you would like to talk to me ever, you can find me on Facebook as Felecia Angelle voice actress or on Twitter at Felecia Angelle.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the show, Felicia. It was an honor to have you on.